Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of All Out War. I think this is episode number 134, and I'm Turner, and I'm in the studio with Rosie. What's up, Rosie?
Hey, what's up, man?
Not much.
What was that laugh?
I don't know. I just laugh. Rachel's not going to be with us tonight for this episode, but she'll be back again soon. She's got some stuff going on.
Yeah.
If you follow her on Instagram, you probably know what it is. So go follow her on Instagram. Oh, man. We have a great episode this evening that we're going to record. Or I should just say today, because who knows what time someone's listening to this. They're probably listening to it in the morning on their way to work or something.
Yeah,
Or
maybe.
at the gym or something. But we have a great episode to record today.
Yeah.
But before we do that, what do you know?
Hey, so I was kind of inspired by Lindsay's post about the
pandas?
The pandas.
Oh, man.
So I got
for our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
Darlings Dwell.
Darlings Dwell.
It's Lindsay. That's her name.
Yeah.
She's a friend of the podcast, and she was posting panda bears and all this panda facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just like, they're black and white. Not
Right.
like those kind of panda facts.
No,
like,
right.
like about how they're all genetically modified. They're not real,
Yeah,
exist
dude.
in the wild. It's crazy.
Some of the things I couldn't believe.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they need help to give birth.
Yeah.
Like you would think that a creature that, you know, has lived in the wild its
Right.
entire existence would have no problem having sex and having babies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know? Apparently they're not interested in sex.
Yeah, they're more interested in food. There's actually this funny.
I've been there.
Yeah, I'm not married, so I'm not allowed to say I've been there. But yeah, it was funny. There's this comedian that did a bit about that I always thought about. His name's Mike Birbiglia. It's on a comedy album, probably came out in like 2006.
Okay.
All about pandas.
Okay.
But it's all about them where they actually had to make porn to get the pandas to. I don't know if she touched on this because I'm not.
I think she did.
I'm not on
I think she might have
Instagram
said
right now.
this. Yeah, they like panda porn.
Yeah, so he was talking about like panda porn. He was like, well, you know, what kind of porn is it? Is it like people dressed up like pandas having, you know, that they're filming, or is it actual pandas? And it's like,
He wants to know.
if it is actual pandas, is there like a porn star male panda that like so you know
He's like a stud.
he said like the John Holmes of pandas. And it's like, and if there is a panda that like can have that, like why don't they just have him have sex with all the other pandas?
Yeah.
And then the problem would be solved.
That's what they do on farms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like this whole joke. I just love it where he was saying, like talking about like the voice of like the panda, and he's like, I'll do all the pandas. Black, white, black and white. But anyways, that's not what the Did You Know was.
I can't wait for the review that we're going to get from I
All
listened
they're
to
talking about is pandas having sex.
Right.
But here you go. Kale, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and cabbage do not exist in the wild. They all came from a single plant species, which is really weird. Kale, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and cabbage.
They're so different.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it all came from this one plant that they've all been.
Like genetically modified. GMO.
Yep.
So kale is a GMO?
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
not genetic, but you know, like the selective breeding. Like it was those are all man-made.
Okay. Gotcha.
Selective breeding. They said, yeah, it's kind of it's wild mustard.
Wild mustard
is the actual plant
of origin, huh?
Plant of origin. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Another one. You'll get a kick out of this, since I'll throw in another one. People love animal ones. There is. Yeah. Did you know that there is a horse? We've talked about other military animals before.
Yeah.
So there's this.
Great.
There's this decorated war horse named Staff. He was a staff sergeant named Reckless.
Cool.
He held official rank in the United States military. He was, it says, out of a racehorse dam. She was purchased in October 1952 for $250 from a Korean stable boy at the Seoul racetrack who needed money to buy an artificial leg for his sister.
Oh,
I don't know why that.
Don't stop, man! You're making me laugh.
That point is just so good. I love how they have to say that, like
what he needed the money for.
Yeah, I love those little facts. I'll say I think a great thing about storytelling is when I enjoy stories so much more when they pick up on those little facts that are so unneeded, but I think it makes it more memorable. And when people retell the story by throwing in those facts, or it makes you seem like more of an interesting person. So there you go.
So is that the story now?
Yeah, then he was just this Marine. And it said she quickly became a part of this unit, was allowed to roam freely through camp, entering the Marines' tents, where she would sleep on cold nights. She was known for her willingness to eat nearly anything, including scrambled eggs, beer, Coca-Cola, and once about $30 worth of poker chips.
Okay.
So there you go.
I heard, too, I don't know, does it say anything else about, because I heard the horse was dishonorably discharged?
No.
Do you know why?
No.
It's horsing around.
I was waiting for it. I thought you were going to say she was like a nightmare.
Nightmare.
Yeah. That's a good one. But yeah, Life magazine recognized her as one of America's top 100 all-time heroes.
What was the name of the horse?
Reckless. Sergeant Reckless.
Sergeant Reckless. I think we need to make a movie.
Yeah.
They should make a movie to have the horse, Reckless the horse, and then the bear from Poland.
Wojciech? Yeah.
Yeah, Wojciech. And the bear rides the horse into battle.
Into battle?
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be such an epic movie.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I love it, yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so sit back, grab a coffee, and enjoy.
You're listening to the All Out War podcast.
Smoking that sticky green stuff.
We haven't used that line.
I know. It's been a long time. That's why Reckless was removed from the they had a zero tolerance policy. Oh man. Well, we have a great episode. We're going to talk today, about the law of attraction. This is a continuation in our Doctrines of Demons series that we took on. We already did one episode. This is the second in that series that we're going to do. And I can't remember what the first one was. Do you remember?
The Christ letters?
Yes, the Christ letters, which was actually really interesting because
I
had never even really... And that was actually a listener, one of our listeners asked us to do some talk about that. So that was kind of cool that it directly...
started this whole other series.
Yeah, it started a whole series. So good job. Thank you, listener. You know who you are, Jerry. And but this episode, we're going to talk about something called the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is really interesting because you may have heard of it before. You may have seen various aspects of it played out in life through friends, especially if you're involved in things like yoga, or even on today. I was just scrolling through Instagram this afternoon, just kind of chilling out, and there was an Instagram reel, and it was basically like, it says, use this sound and your future spouse will text you, you know?
Why didn't you send that to me?
Yeah, right? Because it doesn't work. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. But what it is, it's the principle of the law of attraction in that reel, like in that whole, that little 5-second post or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then sadly, it's even, you know, a lot of Christians are beginning to employ the techniques of the law of attraction in their lives, and they don't realize because they're unwitting or undiscerning, and the church is just kind of becoming more and more open to these principles that really have roots in New Age. So I wanted to just kind of probably to start off, we should just kind of talk about the origins of law of attraction and like where does it come from, and then we can talk about
Well, how about we say what the law of attraction actually is?
Yeah, we could do that. That's fine. I have a definition if you want, and if you want to add to it.
Go ahead.
So it says here. Wait a second. Do I have it? I actually don't have a definition on here.
Okay,
That's hilarious, man.
I got you.
I have a bunch of stuff. I have 4 pages of notes in front of me. So
it's okay. So the law of attraction is summed up: what we focus on, we attract.
Yeah.
And it says also the energetic frequency. And this, I accidentally finished the word by trying to say something else. Frequency. I meant to say, stop saying that. And then I was going to say, see, this actually came up in the last podcast. Yeah, the last podcast, I think Rachel brought it up when we were talking about the Christ letters. But it goes into this, the idea of, you're going to hear a lot of sciencey kind of words.
Yeah.
And this, the law of attraction, is so much about new agey, sciencey kind of words that they sound sciencey, and they're not. They're just not.
It's actually I would
pseudoscience.
Yeah, that's what I would call it, pseudoscience.
But the reason I was going to say that is because the answer that I'm about, the continuation of the definition starts getting right into that.
Yeah.
So the law of attraction is what we focus on, we attract. Also, the energetic frequency at which we vibrate aligns with similarly vibrating circumstances.
Yeah.
For example, when we primarily vibrate at a frequency of love and gratitude, we start to see more and more instances of love and appreciation around us. When we get angry and feel it at our core, we notice and create more situations which are angering and frustrating. Pay attention to where your focus and energy are. It is a direction in which our future is headed.
Yeah.
So
it's like a bunch of gobbledygook to me. Literally, as you were talking, I was like reading some other things and kind of tuning out. But phrases like universe, vibration, positive, negative, frequency,
energies,
elevate, lowering, raising. Yeah, the universe is the interesting one though, because what they do is they look at the things that, and this is the thing. All right, let me start here. There's reasons that the law of attraction is so appealing. There's reasons that so many people are drawn to this law of attraction thing. I don't even know what to call it. It's a law of. They call it a law of attraction.
We should just start there.
Yeah, I guess we should start there.
It's not a law.
It's not a law. No.
Yeah. So when we keep saying this, it's not. They claim that that there's these 12 universal laws
of creation.
Everything that we can get into more. But before we say it, it's this. So when we say law, they use it again in the way that the law of gravity is that this is just how the universe proves this to be true.
Right.
So it's not. But I was just giving you a more of a definition of when we say this law, we don't actually believe that it's a law.
Yeah, because like if you have like, for instance, like say a different law of physics that it's going to occur every time that it's that like if like for instance like gravity, there's debate about gravity, especially if your cosmology is flat Earth or something like that, because they want to know what can't prove gravity, right, or whatever. But I do know that every single time I hold something out, it's going to drop, right? So it's a provable law in the sense that it always happens. You know what I mean? And God has laws, right? There's laws in the Bible he talks about, but this one is, they call it a law of positive of attraction, but it doesn't always work, right? Even if I use the right language and my vibration is my vibration and frequencies are in the right zones, and I have the universe on my side. It's like I look at it like when someone says thoughts and prayers. Thoughts, you're going through a hard time. Thoughts and prayers. I'm actually going to start employing that as like a cut down on people now. Bust. So if somebody's complaining about something, like I'm just gonna be like thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use it like that.
It's like how the Southerners love to say, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. It could be a good thing.
Right.
Because it could be, bless your heart. You're awesome. Like,
Right.
you're so sweet. But if people that are from the South know,
Right.
like, they can also mean the complete opposite.
Right.
They're telling you to F off, but they're a nice old Southern lady who's not going to say that. So
Right.
bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Yeah.
As she smiles through her
Yeah,
gritted
I
teeth.
hope you get hit by a bus.
Yeah. So it's simply, and it's employing this law of attraction. It's employing certain language, certain attitude, certain mindset, certain spiritual. I don't want to call it elevations, spiritual posture. That may be a good word.
Yeah.
To kind of to now put yourself into a place where the universe will extend to you this thing that you desire.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
Like a spouse or a job or money or, maybe you have a failed relationship you're trying to heal up, and they employ it in all kinds of life circumstances. And, but it always boils down to relationships, money. Those are the two main things that come about. And that's why it's so appealing.
Yeah. And like what you had just said about is almost us. It's so hard to take a step back because we were talking about this before we recorded, that there is a difference. Maybe we should, before we start going into deeper into the law of attraction, we'll say what the law of attraction is not, or to get kind of some common misconceptions out of the way that may have made its way into your thinking, the church, popular culture, all those things. Because what you said there was almost you're being too charitable with it. And it's hard to not be charitable because it's so stupid. Okay, it's so stupid. It's literally a doctrine of demons. So, but
Right.
we were talking about this before the podcast, is that there is some sort of truth, not to the law of attraction itself, but to the idea that outcomes can happen if someone works towards them, which is a biblical principle of, so if you want to be, if you want to get promoted, if you want to move ahead in your job, if you want to get a better job, if you want to get promoted, you want to raise. The thing that is totally okay to do, and is not the law of attraction, is to work hard at your job, is to show up earlier than maybe you would, go out of your way to be a better employee. Basically, you want to take actions that would lead to getting a promotion.
Yeah.
So if you waste a lot of time, if you're not the best employee, doing things that are good that lead to your boss going, oh, you're really a good worker, let me go out of my way to try to give you a promotion. That is not the law of attraction. That is just actually putting in effort, hard work to get ahead, to get the things you want to get. So as far as work, in relationships, there's a difference between, I want to be married, but I don't want to do anything to actually change my circumstances.
That's right. Yeah.
Which could mean, and I'm just going to say, I'm just thinking of some ones, joining a Bible study where I can be around people of the opposite sex. That are joining a singles Bible study would be better because you're with single people of the opposite sex. Doing more extra, I don't want to say out of school, extracurricular activities, going, finding groups of people that play volleyball or do rock climbing, putting yourself in situations. Maybe it's get it going on a dating app or a dating site, a good one, not Tinder, anything that can be,
Right.
Looking for a relationship. There are things that you can do to change your circumstances that are not the law of attraction.
Right.
So that is not what we're talking about. We are not talking about the principle of doing things in a godly way to get to a certain desire that you have.
Right.
So I just want to get that out of the way. Is there is a difference between doing those things to get to where you want to get to, whether it be rich, money, whatever those things. That's not the law of attraction. So
Right. And a good biblical principle would be like, if you want friends, show yourself to be friendly.
exactly.
So it's like,
Right.
you're not actually employing the universe to do that. You're actually just being a friendly person, and friendly people typically are liked by other people and have friends.
Right.
Grumpy, grouchy people are typically isolated and nobody wants to be around them, right?
Yeah.
It's like a pretty basic principle, but it's a simple way to describe what you're saying there, I think.
Yeah, and I will say that there is a principle that is, you brought up a really good point, that is not law of attraction, but you may hear this, and it is extremely useful, so I'll give you another little tip in here, is that, like you said, if you want to be if you want people, if you're looking around at your circle of friends and you're like, man, these are all people that steal from me, they're
Right.
not trustworthy, they're not people of good character, they get drunk all the time doing all these things. I'm not going to say this law of attraction, but you would want to look at yourself and look at things of, oh, well, if I'm surrounding myself or people are attracted to me that are all thieves and liars, there's probably a pretty good chance that I'm a thief and I'm a liar.
Right.
In some ways, because there's things that these people are latching onto about me, I am attracting in some way.
I think they call it birds of a feather.
Yeah. Or we always say water seeks its own level.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is not law of attraction. That is not another thing. Is if you want to have people that are honest, well, typically honest people only want to hang out with people that are also honest. So you would start being honest person.
Yeah.
You don't want to surround yourself with thieves. Stop stealing.
Right.
Because people who aren't thieves don't want to be around someone that is a thief.
Yeah.
That is also not the law of attraction. So I just want to get kind of these other things out that can be kind of convoluted because they can be a gateway into something that is not biblical, that is actual the law of attraction.
Right.
And sorry, I just wanted to make these kind of distinctions before we go into it, because hopefully you'll see at the end of this, this is not something that's good. We are not promoting this by any means.
This is not a promotion.
Literally a doctrine of demons. So
yeah, if you're playing around with the law of attraction right now, or considering it, or reading books about it, you get away.
Yeah,
get away. And we'll at the end, I think we can talk a little bit about God's role and how we should, as Christians, we should posture ourselves when it comes to some of the situations where you'd want to employ the law of attraction. I just want to read a quote here. It says, while it wasn't called the law of attraction in ancient times, it was referred to in Buddhist writings as well as in Christianity. For example, and this is where it's wrong. This is where I get angry. This is demonic. For example, the Buddha famously said that our thoughts make us what we are. Plus, Jesus can be interpreted as telling us about our limitless power to create. All that we are is a result of what we have thought. Buddha. So the fact that this website that I pulled this from, it's the lawofattraction.com is where it came from. I mean, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Is they're literally right at the beginning there, they're employing Christian and Jesus. They're putting Jesus, Christian, Buddha all in the same boat as saying, look, everybody believes this. It's a principle. It's a law of creation. You know, we're just going to harness that and put the universe on our side. And so they look at the universe as this sovereign giver versus the creator, God himself, who's the sovereign giver of all things, right?
Yeah.
So they replace this the creator,
Yeah.
who created everything, with a universe. And that's what they employ. They employ the universe. They talk about getting from the universe. And I shared with you the podcast, so I was like doing a little bit of research. I didn't know anything about the law of attraction. I'm not a big fan of even reading about the New Age.
Yeah.
I just have never had interest in it. I know it's seeping and creeping into the church today, and so I have to be aware of it and understand it at that working level. But other things I'm much more interested in learning about, and so I downloaded a podcast, and this is like the number one law of attraction podcast, and it was like all the secrets of law of attraction. So I was like, all right, and so I found one of the titles. It was like the most important secret to the law of attraction, and I was like, all right, well, if this is the most important secret, I'm gonna see what he's gonna say it is. And I just started laughing right off the beginning. And I don't want to be disrespectful to this podcaster or this guy, because he really believes this stuff with all his heart. But he was like, I'm an eagle flying to you as your mystical mentor.
I will be disrespectful to that person. That is absolutely ridiculous, and you should repent and find Jesus Christ.
Well, I was laughing. I mean, yeah, I was laughing. I'm trying to drive, and he's like, I'm flying like an eagle as your mystical mentor. And he goes, if you want it, you can have it, and I'm going to help you achieve it. And it was just like this. It was like Joel Osteen going like bad. It was like do you ever remember the Bizarro characters in the comics back? No. It was like Batman had a Bizarro character and Superman had a Bizarro, and the Bizarro characters were like clunky clone versions of the actual superhero, because it was from another dimension, another universe. And so the Superman was like, "Oh, I Superman," like that's how he would talk, and he was just like really rough, and he would like break stuff, and Batman didn't have his cool demeanor. He was the same way. And it was like this guy is like, it was like the Bizarro Joel Osteen. He was like the opposite of that. But anyways, so I think that when you start to look at the history of law of attraction in the United States in particular, when it started to grow, there was a couple components that that were kind of put together and started to see it kind of take place. And it's interesting to me that something like this would take root in a nation, in a country where there's just abundant prosperity, because I really believe that this appeals to the carnal nature of who we are, and our greed and our desires, and our wanting to have gratification instantly or quickly.
See, I would say the complete opposite. I would not see it starting at any other country ever, because this is the perfect place. America is the epitome of.
That's what I was saying. Like, I could see why it took off here.
Oh, I thought you said I was surprised to see that it started here.
No, I said I'm not surprised.
Oh, sorry. I missed that part. Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Yeah, because we're so abundantly blessed and prosperous as a nation, and then we're greedy. Yeah. It just sprouts greed on top of that. But one of the people that really gets credit for it for whatever reason is Helena Blavatsky, and we've talked about her before. In previous episodes, I think we've talked about her. She was a spiritualist, an occultist. She was born in the 1800s. She came out of Russia, and there's a lot about her with just other occult and spiritualist type things. You and I were joking around. We're like, she was kind of based on some things that made us laugh. We were like, because she was talking about how when she came to America to visit America, and she was meeting with all of these mediums and all of these like palm readers and stuff, and she was like, "You're not talking to the dead. You're talking to nefarious spirits," or something along those lines. And it's like, oh, she's actually tuned into that. Those are not what we would biblically say are not dead people talking through a medium. They're actually demons. And she had that part actually right, but the majority, I would say 99% of what she believed was really bad. Yeah. She actually wrote something called she came up with something called the Theosophy, and you probably want to add to this a little bit, because I know you are very familiar with her. I mean,
I didn't know we were.
You had a picture of her on your mantle at your house. No, I'm just kidding.
I was going to make a different joke that I probably shouldn't make after that.
Just Google her name if you want to know what
Yeah.
she looked like.
So I'll start off. She was super ugly. It was so funny. You were reading it. I say that jokingly, but also because I pulled up this thing. It's just a picture of her staring at me. And they actually went out of their way. You were reading like 7 different descriptions from different people, all talking about how she she was known for being ugly and like not just like I am not making a. I wouldn't just say this so flippantly about people, but this woman is evil. So I take, in the same way that I joke about, or I don't joke about, but how I say, the Prophet Muhammad,
Right.
was a pedophile midget who was ugly and was suffering from syphilis. Like in the same way that
Right.
I'll make fun of that. This woman was just ugly, bulging eyes, was like super, did not take care of herself in any way, and was super proud of that.
She was racist.
Yeah, she was super racist. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and start in this kind of, I'll start reading about Blavatsky and some of the earlier people that kind of took it from her. But it says, because I don't think we actually did ever go into Blavatsky, so this is a good time.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but so it says, as a young woman, Helena Blavatsky fled a forced marriage and traveled around the world, visiting the Americas, Europe, India, Egypt, and eventually spending 2 years in Tibet, where she became a Buddhist. After arriving in America, Blavatsky placed herself in the popular spiritualist movement, practicing as a medium and a clairvoyant. Blavatsky agreed with the spiritualist and Christian Science position that the physical was an illusion and that the mind was an ultimate reality. In 1875, Blavatsky and Henry Steele Olcott, I kept wanting to say occult, Olcott, helped found the Theosophical Society, which was conceived as the establishment of the Brotherhood of Humanity, investigating the mystical qualities of life and the psychic powers of the individual. The Theosophists claimed that there existed a secret esoteric teaching that fully explains existence and that only a few spiritual masters have access to. According to Blavatsky, the law of theosophy was not only the wisdom of the gods, it was the wisdom possessed by the gods. Nevertheless, how did Blavatsky get access to godlike wisdom? Blavatsky claimed to be educated in Tibet by beings who called themselves the, quote, masters of wisdom. Blavatsky said that these masters formed a spiritual hierarchy of cosmic beings who are the guardians of the divine plan. The divine plan was all that humanity was to attain, was that all of humanity was to attain ascended master status through ascension. According to Blavatsky, these masters have been responsible for guiding humanity's spiritual development by providing truth and wisdom to those virtuous enough to disseminate it correctly. According to Theosophists, these masters of wisdom, or Mahatmas, were self-realized humans who perfected themselves through reincarnation and spiritual evolution. Blavatsky claimed to be a medium and said that she was in contact with 2 of these Mahatmas, Morya and Kut Humi, who allegedly appeared in, quote, astral form to only certain members of the Theosophical Society. These masters dispensed knowledge and information about the workings of the universe to the Theosophists. Part of that knowledge must have been the laws of attraction and repulsion, which we'll come to later. In 1881, Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society were embroiled in the Mahatma letters affair. A series of sign notes began to seemingly appear out of thin air or appearing in odd places, claiming to be written by the Mahatmas, Kut Humi and Master Morya. When the Society of Psychical Research sent Richard Hogston to the Theosophical headquarters in Madras to investigate, he reported back to find that devices had been used in fraudulent arts, as confessed by Blavatsky associate Madame Coulomb, who said Blavatsky wrote the letters herself. It appears that the evidence about the reality of these Mahatmas and Blavatsky's claims about them remain flimsy. Blavatsky said she was in contact with these adepts, which presented some problems because Blavatsky was not a born psychic, although she did undergo much training and study during her travels. I will, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfazed by the Mahatma Letters affair and the accusations of plagiarism, Blavatsky went on to write her magnum opus, The Secret Doctrine, published in 2 massive volumes framed around an ancient and mysterious poem called The Stanzas of Design, which Blavatsky claims she read while traveling to the Himalayas. The Theosophists say that the stanzas were part of a hidden esoteric knowledge placed under the Himalayan mountains by an underground civilization of beings possessing superhuman powers. Blavatsky presents the stanzas as an ancient cosmogony, history, and transformation of the universe. Cosmic hierarchies prevent perpetual change, and universal knowledge make up some of the vast material Blavatsky presents in The Secret Doctrine. Attraction and repulsion are 2 forces ever in operation in the cosmos. Physical attraction is the manifestation of a cosmic principle which has manifestations on all planes, spiritual, mental, and psychic, so that its influence is seen in our thoughts and feelings. Attraction and repulsion are the principles of duality, representing galactic ages of evolution and diffusion. It says, it starts going on with more.
But The Secret was actually the biggest thing, because The Secret, which you just mentioned, it brings forth the oppositions of attraction and repulsion, and it makes distinction of that as a law, right? Isn't that what you just said?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that they pulled out of, because she didn't really make the law of attraction.
No.
But they pulled from her research and her teachings and things like that. And if anyone's still not convinced that this woman was evil, the Theosophy Society or Theosophy Society is actually partnered. The UN believes it, and it's greatly enmeshed with Alice Bailey with the Lucis Trust. She was highly influenced by Blavatsky, and you have this dawning of the golden age, which we've talked about before, which is the false light. It's all connected in. It's like kind of like it's a train, and they all have a cart on this train, right? And they all have a part that's going through. So yeah, because I was trying to remember. Man, I remember her having something to do with the UN, but the UN didn't come around to like the 40s. So, but they actually drew from her teaching the Theosophy religion, or spirituality, the society. The UN's adopted it.
Yeah. So Alice Bailey, I wasn't ready to go about her, but she was she did take a lot of the Western mystical tradition. In this idea of the spiritual hierarchy, which is all more of the teachings of what Blavatsky actually, like you had said, this was one thing that she just kind of talked on. She writes so much more. It's not a lot of really crazy stuff with ancient civilizations and all these crazy people. But Alice Bailey was one of the people who took influence from the Theosophical teachings. And like you said, set up the Lucis Trust. And a really interesting thing about the UN, not just that like they're connected in this kind of way, but that Alice Bailey, if I remember correctly, maybe fact check me on this, is she actually introduced like a meditation room in the UN, and actually she was the one to bring and be kind of the spiritual guide of the people who make up the UN.
Yeah.
So it's not this like this woman, was just kind of maybe even in the UN or like a part of, or like friends with a lot of people that started the UN. She was actually one of the people who was teaching the spiritual, these ideas to the people in the UN, like in the UN meditation room. She was there.
I think I called, what did I call it? I called it a spiritual casserole. It was like,
oh, what?
Earlier when we were talking, I was like, it's everything about these New Age teachings.
Yeah,
they become a spiritual casserole.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to parse out the ingredients of exactly what it is, where each of the ingredients come from, so that you can say, oh, well, they pull from here, they pull from here, they pull from there, they pull from there, and that's literally what they're doing, which makes it hard to nail down like origins and you know, 'cause you and I, we were just looking on the internet before we started, and we've like the 12 laws of, and then we found the 12 laws of karma, and they're not even connected in any way with the 12 laws of the universe.
I was even going to bring that. Yeah. So you had started by saying the laws of the universe, which of these quote unquote laws of the universe, there's 12 of them. Mm-hmm. Again, just going by what they say, and that they, like you had read, that they're somehow connected or taken from Hinduism and Buddhism. And what was so funny is we were talking about the caste system, or how the idea of the law of attraction would play out in a place like India, which is overwhelmingly Hindu.
Right.
And, or these other countries that are very poor that practice Buddhism or Hinduism. It's more so Buddhist. New Agey pulls more from these ideas that they attribute to Buddhist teachings.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember we were reading that, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with Buddhism. Like, what do you mean? And so yeah, you found this place where they just said, oh yeah, these are the laws of Buddhism, and I had to go find where they were because I'm not a Buddhist, but I know it's kind of the complete opposite of what, at least my understanding of what Buddhism is, because they have these things that they're the Four Noble Truths, and that's all based on suffering.
Right.
And coming to terms with, you talk to a Buddhist and you start saying, oh, the laws of attraction, they're probably going to look at you like a serious Buddhist and be like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Like, the Buddha didn't talk about that. He told me that like life is perpetual suffering, and the only way to like rise above and become more spiritually attained is being content in the suffering. Like, that's the whole thing. It's all about suffering. It's not it's not very pleasant. It's a way to deal with the fact that life is suffering.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I pulled
and just cycle up through reincarnation.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I did find these 12 things. They just called the 12 laws of karma. And I just thought it was really funny. Again, not that we are by any means promoting Buddhism, because we are not, but I almost got offended on behalf of a Buddhist who was being intellectually honest.
Right.
I'm all about being intellectually honest.
Sure.
And if you want to claim all these things, and not you, but just these people where they throw out these New Age things, like you said, the modern day New Age is just a casserole of take a little bit of this, take a little bit of this. They all put it together. Blavatsky, kind of the more that you'll dive into these maybe seem very fringy ideas of some New Agey thing, Blavatsky, it all kind of goes back to like only a handful of people.
Right.
One of them is Madame Blavatsky. One of them who had a different twist on it, which we talked about last time, Rudolf Steiner. Mm-hmm. There's another guy who actually kind of touches into this, but Emanuel Swedenborg. But if you keep going back, there are more. It just kind of goes back to these same kind of people who just took a mishmash of stuff basically to get around being Christian. So we're going to take this, we're going to take that, because I don't want to believe in anything but Christianity. I'm going to make my own thing.
Right.
And that's why the New Agey belief doesn't really have a set of beliefs.
Yeah.
They're not Buddhist beliefs. They have some Buddhist beliefs. They have some Hindu beliefs. They have some Native American beliefs. They have some totally different beliefs. Have some Christian stuff. Yeah.
And that's why a lot of Christians believe that the one world religion that's going to come out will be New Age.
Yeah.
I don't believe that myself. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it would fit easier because you can take a mix mash of different beliefs, different worldviews, and you can say, yeah, well, we actually employ part of that in us, and we employ part of this, and so you have to compromise a little bit here to get that, and they'll compromise a little there to get this, and then you end up. But I don't think that's how it's going to play out. It still is, New Age still is a casserole of spirituality. It's like you're not sure what you're going to get on each bite, man, and it's been out in the sun for a while, so I don't know if you should trust it. But
yeah, I just wanted to go through just because we brought this up when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Just to kind of, I'm going to be crapping on this whole law of attraction the whole time. But again, just kind of going with this, that just to see how intellectually not lazy, but like just how dishonest they are from the start. From the start, they can't even steal proper. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm just going to read over the first couple 12 laws of karma, which again is not necessarily from a Buddhist website. I just found 12 karma Buddhist. It's kind of thrown in here. But just listen to the names of these kind of laws, so to speak.
Is this for the karma ones you're doing?
Yeah, so first these are karma. 1, the great law, the law of creation, the law of humility, the law of growth, the law of responsibility, the law of connection, the law of force, the law of giving and hospitality, the law of here and now, the law of change, the law of patience and reward, the law of significance and inspiration. So those are kind of, okay, there's some meat to them, maybe, so to speak.
Yeah.
Here are what these people claim are the 12 universal laws. And just, I wish I could have like a screen and put them up next to each other, because to me they look, so the law of energy, the law of rhythm, the law of action, the law of oneness, the law of gender, polarity, relativity, transmutation of energy, compensation, cause and effect, attraction, corresponds. They are so different.
They are.
Like,
well, first of all, the gender one.
Right, yeah.
How are we going to work with that one?
Yeah.
Is it a law of gender for real? So what does that mean?
Yeah. It says there are both masculine and feminine energies. This might get them canceled, these New Age people. I'm reading it. There are both masculine and feminine energies within our universe. They are known as the yin and yang. There is no superior energy, just complementary energy. When we nurture our masculine and feminine energies, we start to feel more balanced and whole as people. Whether we are male or female, it is vital to understand the relationship between masculine and feminine energies. Based, just the fact that they call out, even to these New Age people, there's only two energies.
Genders, right? That's hilarious to me, though.
Yeah.
That was, what law was that? That was like the third law or something like that. Fifth law.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting was the 11th law, which is the magic number 11, right? Is the law of attraction.
Yeah.
You can do your own work on finding that one out. But something else that I was going to tell you that I'm about before we move on, because we kind of are moving on from Helena, but I do want to just point out two other things about her. She wrote this dissertation, I guess it was or a paper on. It's called Isis Unveiled, and it's not ISIS like the the Muslim terrorists,
right?
But basically, she says in there, and this is in reference to kind of the direction of what they hope to happen, what these people hope to happen. It says the underlying theme among these diverse topics in Isis Unveiled is the existence of ancient wisdom religion, an ageless occult guide to the cosmos, nature, and human life. The many faiths of man are said to derive from a universal religion known both to Plato and the ancient Hindu sages. The wisdom religion is also identified with Hermetic philosophies and as the only possible key to the absolute in science and theology. Every religion is based on the same truth or secret doctrine, there's that secret again, which contains the alpha and omega of universal science. This ancient wisdom religion will become the religion of the future. And then in reference to Helena herself, when it comes to Christianity, according to her wiki page, it says that she was dismissive of the Christian idea of God in Western world, describing it as a bundle of contradictions and a logical impossibility. And I love that that she says it's a bundle of logic. It's a bundle of contradictions, which is interesting to me because when we just literally talked about the karma and the laws of the universe and all these different things that are, kind of poured into this spirituality, and they do literally contradict themselves.
Yeah.
They literally are a bundle of contradictions.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, it's a lot of times these are gravitating to these things so that they can not have to bow the knee to Christ. They want to avoid Jesus as Lord. That's exactly what is happening.
Yeah. So do we want to move on how this kind of gets into the popular culture?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So after Blavatsky, and there's going to be a couple things that I'm going to touch on, and you can hop in if you want.
Sure.
So there's a couple things that kind of, in America, spur on and out of kind of Blavatsky. These are started from Blavatskyites, so to speak.
Yeah.
So one of them is called the Mind Cure Movement. And it starts off with, I'll read this quote from William James, and we'll talk about him in a second. Any individual can tap into the eternal reservoir of power that will enable them to overcome any problem that may arise. All weaknesses can be overcome. Bodily healing, financial independence, spiritual awakening, and prosperity beyond your wildest dreams. This is the superstructure of happiness. It says, by the end of the 18th century, the Mind Cure movement gained a secular ally in no one less than William James, who is the father of modern psychology. James defended the mind cure on pragmatic terms. He had seen it worked for some people, therefore it must be something to it. While James did accept some of the main principles of the mind cure, he also expresses some bemusement when he noted that the mind cure movement had no provision when dealing with the question of evil. That's another thing we'll touch on later, but there is not. You'll see the contradictory state, the opposition to what the Christian teaches with all the New Age stuff. It says in one lecture, James name checks Christian Science's Mary Baker Eddy, saying for her, evil is simply a lie, and anyone who mentions it is a liar. The optimistic ideal of duty forbids us to pay it the compliment of even explicit attention. Of course, as our next lectures will show us, this is a bad speculative omission, but it is intimately linked with the practical merits of the system we are examining. Why regret a philosophy of evil? A mind curer would ask us, if I can put you in possession of a life of good. It says, why focus on the negative aspects of the world when you can have abundance, is still being asked by the proponents of the law of attraction today. James went on to say that the greatest discovery of the 19th century would not be in the realm of physical science, but in the power of the subconscious touched by faith. William Walker Atkinson. He was a successful lawyer from Baltimore, but before becoming involved in the New Thought movement. And this is where it starts going into it. He became the editor of New Thought magazine, and later published many articles on the various topics of the occult, theosophy, psychology, salesmanship, crystal gazing, yoga, and metaphysical healing under his own name and under a list of pseudonyms. Atkinson was a prolific author, but his most popular book was printed in 1906 and is still in print today. Thought Vibration, or the Law of Attraction in the Thought World. So this W.W. Atkinson was actually the first person to actually kind of use the idea and, the term, the law of attraction. So this book that he called the Thought Vibration, or the Law of Attraction in the Thought World, was his book. And I just want to mention something real quick. I'm going to kind of move off. It talked about the New Thought movement. And so I just want to touch on that, because we're also going to touch and go into maybe something you are putting together, maybe you're not, to the listener, but we're kind of building this little foundation, so go with me. So the New Thought movement can be traced to a dissatisfaction on the part of many persons with the scientific empiricism and the reaction to the religious skepticism of the 17th and 18th centuries. The romanticism of the 19th century also influenced the New Thought movement, of which Phineas P. Quimby is usually cited as the earliest proponent. So here's the teachings and the thought practices of the New Thought movement. It says some of it may be traced to Platonism, based on the idealism of the 5th and 4th century BC Greek philosopher Plato, who held that the realms of forms or ideas is more real than that of matter, and to Swedenborgianism, who was a Christian, so to speak, minister, and it was based on, he was this really weird guy who would go into these trances and go to heaven and go to hell, and you come back and write all these stories. We should do a whole episode on Swedenborg. He's really interesting. So it's based on that. And it says, although it's difficult to summarize New Thought beliefs since they are so varied and to a large degree individualistic, it is possible to summarize some of the more prevalent views. As far as Christian Science is concerned, New Thought adherents do not accept Mary Baker Eddy's teaching or that any other formulations as a final revelation. So there's a final point. Rather, truth is viewed as a matter of continuing revelation, and no one leader or institution can declare with finality what the nature of thought of truth is. Moreover, it is essentially positive and optimistic about life and its outcomes. So, basically, out of Theosophy, based on this one guy's book with the Law of Attraction, who was in this milieu of the New Thought movement, which is sort of this kind of Christian-ish answer to it, because you do have some of the Christian Science that comes out of it. But again,
well, they just slapped the name Christian on there. I think, I don't feel like that, like this guy Swedenborg, like, maybe he was a pastor or something like that, or a minister. You were saying Methodist or something, whatever he was. I don't know much about the guy personally, but it sounds like he would want to adapt his Christianity to kind of, he would want to change Christianity to fit what his personal beliefs would be, rather than conforming his beliefs to what the Bible is revealed, what God has revealed in the Bible.
Yeah. I'll say that the New Thought is definitely based upon that. The idea of, again, it's individual
a new thought, right?
Right. It's individualistic. There is no right answer. It is constant revelation. Mm-hmm. So this is what
what happens when a person engages in that type of approach is you move off of a foundation pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. And when you don't have a foundation, what are you building your house on? Yeah. Sinking sand, right? Mm-hmm. It's that parable. You build it on a rock or you can build it on sinking sand. So as soon as you move off the foundation of truth and doctrines of faith as revealed, you're building on sand, shifting sand.
Yeah, yeah. And it's sad that a lot of it is kind of easy to sit here and read all these ideas or concepts or principles or movements or whatever we talk about being not so far removed, because obviously we're not removed, it's happening still, but like when I'm reading, this isn't a Wikipedia article, but when I'm reading something about it and we're summarizing all this stuff that kind of happens in like a paragraph or two, it's easy to kind of look at this and go, they're so crazy, they're so far off. And much in the same way, I think it was on one of Heiser's podcasts, he had this guy who was interviewing, and he was talking about how when we look back at like the big heretics, so to speak, of, I don't want to say Marcionism, even though that was the first one that came to my head, Arianism, or these ideas that we look at now and we're like, that's so easily named as heretical. Yeah. It's hard to believe that someone would really believe that. And this guy on the podcast, he was some scholar, he was saying, not to give them a break on behalf of the fact that they were teaching heresy, but to kind of understand that before they had, now we have so many books that we can read. We have access to the reading, all these letters of the church fathers, the council, where they debated these ideas of heresy. They thought through them.
We're looking backwards at them.
Yeah, but we also have so much more information that these people at that time didn't have access to.
Right.
And so to kind of, what he was saying was to kind of give these guys a little bit of a break in understanding that some of these people who genuinely might have come up with heresies of, Arianism or whatever some of them, is that there was a genuine heart of them trying to come up with, how do I deal with like the Trinity? How do we really come up with a doctrine that we can defend against all these other people that are debating us, because Paul didn't write, a lot of letters. He was, schooled in the Greek and the Romans. He was debating these people, but there's not the arguments necessarily that he went into. There's principles
that they were
of it,
being presented
but
with.
it's not like point by point by point.
Yeah,
and
right.
he just talks, there's a lot of this. So these people, when they're coming up with ways to kind of deal with it, and they come up with, well, this kind of makes sense that, how is God fully man, fully human? Well, maybe he gives up some of his divinity, and that's a heresy. I can't remember the name of
right, yeah.
But
Modalism or something like that would happen.
Or
yeah.
that it's three. So a lot of those Christian ones are not coming out of bad taste. These were not necessarily these evil people that were trying to like destroy the church.
Right.
And a lot of those people repented of the heresies that they came up with. All that being said, that is not what this is.
Right.
And so
I'm glad you said all that, because I thought you were setting up like, hey, we don't need to be.
No. Well,
yeah.
But there is some understanding of how people can get caught up in all this stuff. Again, if they don't have a firm foundation,
Right.
They don't have access, or these people come by and they use Christian terms. This is still happening now. This is how people get caught into
100%.
weird stuff in the church. This is how we have churches that bring this stuff that's evil into it.
Right.
And now I'm making a case that these people have less of an I'm giving them less grace with it.
Yeah.
Because they have so much access to information, and you can read about the history of.
Well, orthodoxy's been worked out.
Right.
We understand, like, it's been debated for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And it's been worked out. So we're not debating these finer points, and these aren't even finer points. These are new revelations, new thoughts, new doctrines, new theologies, which, like, it's called the New Thought. The whole thing was called the New Thought, or whatever it was called. And you're right. They do know what they're doing. I think they do know what they're
doing. That was exactly my point of trying to compare and contrast. Is there's a difference between looking at these
old
people
heresies
in the packs that may have been meaning well, and I think it is, unless proved otherwise, give them some grace with. They're just trying to figure out really tough answers to make it easier to defend Christianity.
Right.
These people are not doing that.
Right.
This is decidedly the complete opposite. This is trying to infiltrate Christianity and pull people out. This is not to strengthen Christianity.
off the reservation.
Exactly. So W.W. Atkinson, this is what he says about this book. We speak learnedly of the law of gravitation, but ignore the equally wonderful manifestation, and he has it all caps, the law of attraction in the thought world. We are familiar with that wonderful manifestation of law, which draws and holds together the atoms of which matter is composed. We recognize the power of the law that attracts bodies to the earth, that holds the circling worlds in their places, but we close our eyes to the mighty law that draws us to things that we desire or fear, that makes or mars our lives. Mm-hmm. That was his quote. The law of attraction is thus explained as a magnetic force where, quote, like attracts like, as a universal law.
Yeah.
The idea with the law of attraction is to consciously draw yourself to prosperity and wealth, since that is what God apparently wants you to do. Prosperity and good health is considered an indication of one's self-realization and spiritual growth. Manifesting a positive outcome for yourself through using your mind and feelings is the secret to make all your dreams come true. And so that is really where the first law of attraction came from. Yeah. He's the guy that coined the thought, and he says it right there. Like, the evidence of a good life is prosperity, and physical being wealthy and being prosperity and good health is an indication of someone's self-realization and personal growth. So taking the opposite, someone that's poor and not healthy, it's really showing you are not very spiritual.
Yeah.
And
it's, I think some of the mindset on, like you were talking about the theology, leading people astray or whatever. And some of the mindset that they have on here, and how Christian, I'm going to just turn back towards Christian, how Christians can actually fall for this is like for instance, they would say you reap what you sow, which I've seen a lot of people equate with karma, which it's not a 1-for-1 equation there. Or I've heard even more, the kingdom of God is within you, right? And so you can create your own reality, like I was talking about earlier. Because you have the kingdom of God within you, the same Spirit that rose Christ from the dead dwells within you. So you can tap into this power. I've actually heard prosperity teachers talk about this kind of stuff. And the problem is that you're creating your own reality. Rather than trusting in an all-knowing and all-powerful God who's all-loving, and knowing that your future is held in his hands, that he has known you from the beginning and he knows you to the end. Like every breath of your life has been already written out. He knows the exact amount of breaths you're going to take before you see him face to face. Instead of trusting a God who knows those things to your future, you want to create a reality of your own. And so I'm going to employ the universe and attract good things with good thoughts, and and I'm going to actually override. I'm going to there is no hack. There's no life hack that you can apply to getting what you want if it's not inside God's will. There's just not. Now you can fight for it and try and make it happen and everything, but you will regret it. You know what I mean? And so I think for the believer, it's alluring because there are certain verses and certain aspects of Christian belief that people will twist and try and apply it to this. So if you have a friend who's like, say you have a friend, it's like the same argument we have with yoga, right? Like, but I'm just stretching. It's just stretching. It's just this. It's so much more than that if you understand what's happening in the spiritual realm. In the same way, it's so much more than that when it comes to something like this law of attraction, because you're actually minimizing the sovereignty, the power, and the sufficiency of God over your life, and you're taking the reins and pulling them into your own hands, and you're saying, I can create my own reality. I can do this. And it's very tempting because when we have needs, they scream loud and we want them fixed right away, especially now living in this culture today, because we're not used to suffering. We're not used to enduring hardship. We're not used to doing without, because like we've been blessed. I think some ways being a blessed nation might be one of the worst things for us.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. Like I have a really awesome pickup truck. It's only 2 years old. I love it, right?
Yeah.
But then I saw like a really sweet Ford Raptor pickup truck, right?
Yeah.
Mine's not a Raptor, believe me. It's not a Raptor. It's a Nissan. But man, I saw that Raptor and I was like, man, it would be so cool to have one of those Raptors. Or I saw one of the new Broncos, and I was like, oh, it'd be so cool. It's like contentment, man. It's like, why can't I be content with what God's given me? There's people that work with me that would love to have my truck. They would freak out to be able to have my truck. You know what I mean? And so perspective and contentment and understanding and gratitude, those are things that are biblical, godly, and he loves and honors those. But if you even have all of those things right, it doesn't mean that God's obligated to give you the desires of your heart.
Right.
He's not obligated. And that's that's a big difference. I just feel like it's been kind of inside me turning to want to say that, listening to all this stuff, because I want to make a legitimate connection for a Christian, because that's our primary audience is Christians.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make a good connection there for how this can creep in and the allure that it can have, and how it seems completely innocent or less. It doesn't seem like it's harmful. It doesn't seem like it's a big heresy. And then when you add on a couple of these Christian verses and maybe some Christians that that are doing it, you can say, oh, well, this isn't a big deal.
Right. And I think that is really important. There's an important distinction, because you actually had brought up when we were talking, before we were earlier this week, when you're listening to that the podcast, and you're like, this really sounds like the prosperity gospel.
Right.
And at first, like, I was like, it kind of does, but they're kind of in the distinctions that we made in the beginning, and now as we're kind of getting more into the actual meat of this, I even want to give Joel Osteen and Tammy Baker, or what the Bakers, were they the
it's
big
like
ones?
It's like Money. There's a guy named Money. Their name was Money. This black dude,
Pastor Money.
I think that was his Money.
Reverend
No,
Money.
Creflo Dollar. That was his name. Creflo Dollar. His name was Dollar.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're even give them more of a break, because it's even still like
I don't know if I like this side of you.
Well, here's my point: do people genuinely get saved through Joel Osteen?
I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean,
There might be.
That's up to the Lord.
Yeah, I've never seen. I know that I've never actually listened.
Does he give the gospel?
I've heard him give the gospel. He stand firm even on.
If you say Larry King, don't say Larry King, because he did not.
No, but there was other. One of these YouTube videos popped up where it's like a compilation of mega church pastors currently that are not standing firm in homosexuality.
Oh yeah.
And all the big ones all floundered, and we're all like, oh, nah, kind of give these wishy-washy sermons. All the guys with the skinny jeans, and it's Stephen Furtick and all those guys.
Yeah.
And they actually had clips of Joe Osteen actually going on TV show, and he's like, no, well, we believe, so he's
refuting them, huh?
Yeah, actually saying, he's been on TV saying that he does say the name of Jesus.
No cap.
No cap.
For real?
Yeah.
All right.
But the law of attraction, again, is, so you had brought up this whole thing about prosperity gospel, and the prosperity gospel is still not as bad as this. That I would still place that in the realm of, it is Christian heresy, not complete not Christian.
Yeah.
The law of attraction, because the distinction you made is the prosperity gospel, there is some action involved, and it's still trusting in ultimately God. That is decidedly different, even though it may seem a little nuanced, and maybe you're getting upset, listener, getting mad that I'm kind of breaking this stuff down, but I think it's important, because ultimately, when they're talking about the law of attraction, and I kind of alluded to the idea where they're talking about vibrations and frequencies and, they use a lot of electricity kind of language, sciencey language. When you say the universe, they say the universe, we talked about it, they believe it's a pantheistic kind of thing that doesn't really have a judge. It's not really intelligent. It's just kind of everything.
Yeah.
And so they break it down. So there, like you said, there is no creator. It is just this ethereal thing that you can't really put a name on it. Yeah. It's just the universe.
Does it have a beginning?
Right. And, that's where the differentiations come.
Right.
So there is a difference between praying and trusting that God will give you the desires of your heart, or not give you the desires of your heart.
Yeah.
The law of attraction, they use this language, and I can't remember the exact thing because it was just so stupid when I heard it. My brain wouldn't even equate it, but it's basically the idea that we are beings, or physical beings, made up of energy. And our thoughts also emanate out energy. I don't know where they came up with that, but that's what they believe.
Yeah.
In the universe, and everything that is in the created realm is also energy, and it also gives off energy. And so the law of attraction is, we are actually shaping our reality, not just in the means of how I talked about earlier, of doing the things that get the job we want, studying hard in school to get a good grades, to get a good job, going on a dating app to meet a girl. This is, I am being a selfish person And I am literally trying to shape through these energies that I am doing. I am making the universe conform to my will. Yeah. You said there is no life hack to the universe in reality. In this BS mumbo jumbo, the law of attraction is the life hack. You, by knowing about it, they literally believe that you are shaping the reality around it. So like if you're vibrating like you personally, if we're sitting here and you are not practicing the law of attraction and I am changing not only my reality, but I'm influencing you.
Right.
That's what they believe, that I can force my energies and my vibrations to change your reality because you exist in the same reality as me. I'm overriding you.
Right.
So
because you're more in tune
with
the universe, and you understand the frequency levels where they are, and you're going to raise them up. And
I'm vibrating at the love level or whatever.
Right.
So stupid, but it really is.
You're emanating energy.
Right.
Yeah.
So that again is different. It's a complete atheism. There is no God. We are our own gods, and we are creating, which again ties back to a demon. That is what did what did Satan say to Eve? You will be like gods. What is one thing that like God is able to do, and a trait that humans are able to do because we are granted by God that Satan cannot do? Just for the grain of salt, we're going to, when I say this, don't say, oh, there's that one thing that we talked about. Yeah. Satan cannot create. Humans can create life because we were made in the image of God. We have this ability.
Yeah. Procreation.
So it goes back to the oldest trick in the book, that Satan said, you will be like gods. You will be able to create. You'll be able to change things. That's what he lied. It was a lie to Eve.
Right.
In the garden. Again, we are becoming gods. We are shaping the realities that do affect the other people, but we deserve to do it because we're emanating at this vibrational stuff. Right. So it's not even like this weird hippie mumbo jumbo. It's literally like the first deception in the Bible, in Genesis. It is
back to the beginning.
Decidedly anti-Christian. It is literally the same thing that Lucifer said, and it is this usurpation on the part of humans to try to become our own gods. You are creating, you are changing the realities of other people to get your way.
Yep.
Like, that's what the law of attraction is. They actually believe we are changing physical reality. It's just BS.
Yeah, they're creating a reality of their own.
Right.
Creating a world of their own, and they are their own God.
Well, not their own world. It's our world.
Well, they are, but I guess my point is that at the core of it is what they want.
Yeah. It's whatever we want.
Yeah. So, which is just I'm my own God. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a very deceptive, very subtle.
Right.
And it's very destructive. And it's self. Right, it feeds the self. Right, so your self becomes, and the Bible is it tells us pretty clearly that whatever you feed's going to grow. Right, if you are focusing on others, praying, reading your word, you have these disciplines in your life that are biblical spiritual principles. Then what's going to grow is your spiritual life will grow, with the Lord.
Right.
But if you focus on self and you practice these other weird spiritual disciplines, then that's what's going to be fed.
Right. And so exactly what that's in. So I just want to, what I was talking about, creating your own reality and manifesting this whole stuff, not your own reality, disrupting the reality of others.
Yeah.
To the prosperity gospel. I'll just read this. Central to the prosperity gospel is the idea of tithing or giving money to the church, ideally one's, quote, first fruits or the initial earnings. This money, many prosperity gospel preachers promised, was an investment. By showing faith, parishioners could have a, quote, 100-fold return on their investment, a reference to a verse in the Gospel of Mark about those who suffer for Christ receiving 100-fold what they have lost. So, said, I'm not sure this is the right person, but it says, do you want 100-fold return on your money? Give it and let God multiply it back to you. No bank in the world offers this kind of return. Praise the Lord. In this mentality, tithing is a financially responsible thing to do. It is, but not in the way that they're talking about.
Right.
It is a show of faith and a shrewd investment alike, a wager on the idea that God acts here and the now to reward those who with both faith and a sufficiently developed work ethic. So that's what I meant by kind of giving Joel Osteen less
Right.
crap than I would give these new age people, because again, it's heretical, it's evil,
Yeah.
and maybe it's taking money. This is ruining people's lives.
Right.
Prosperity gospel, because people are giving their money to millionaire pastors who are just spending it on boats and watches and all this stuff. Right. God wants me to have a Cadillac. All these things they're saying. People are going into debt to do that, but they're genuinely like giving it to God of the Bible.
Right. They believe
that they are.
Yeah.
And they believe that.
So this is can I tell you my original, when I like back on Tuesday when I texted, my original thought was this, is that it's a crisis of faith that occurs when people are sowing the seed, they're believing God, and then God doesn't give them that return.
Yeah.
So it becomes a crisis of faith. Mm-hmm. In the same way, if you're doing all the things for the law of attraction, you're saying the right words, you're raising your vibrational frequency or whatever, but it's still not happening for you, you can begin to have a crisis of your faith in that spiritual belief.
Yeah.
And they're both a works-based mentality, like a works-based process, because you have to believe the right thing, do the right thing, and act the right way, right? For law of attraction, in order to see it come your way. You gotta raise your frequency, which means you gotta be in a certain state of mind. You gotta believe the right thing. You can't say, I don't want to be in debt, because the universe doesn't respond to I don't. It's like, I want to be wealthy. You attract what you want, right? Not what you don't want. And according to what I read.
Yeah.
In the same way, when someone puts their faith in their seed and their believing God for 100-fold return on the $1,000 they gave to the church or whatever, which God isn't obligated, by the way, to give you back money, right? He could give you health. He could make your car not break down. There's a billion other things that God could do. And he doesn't need your money, by the way. Just point that out. Gold came out of the mouth of a fish at one point in the Gospels when they needed to pay taxes. So God doesn't need your money. But it's what it is they put their faith in the prosperity gospel. And that's when they have the crisis, because they're like, oh, I didn't believe hard enough. I didn't believe good enough. I didn't have enough faith to make that happen. Well, the Bible's pretty clear that a mustard seed of faith will move a mountain. So it's not about the measure of faith that you have. It's about who your faith is in, what your faith is in. Is your faith in your faith, or is your faith in your God? Is it in Christ? Is it in Jesus? And that's the thing, because that's the monumental mountain that gets moved, is faith in Christ is actually what saves you, which is the impossible thing. That's the miracle, And so anyways, that's when I was thinking about like what they do with the law of attraction, kind of you have to employ this method. And, there's all these different criteria that they always, point to. And the same way with the prosperity gospel, there's the same criteria, similar criteria. You got to sow the seed. You got to believe God for it. You have to, and so it becomes a work-based type of situation. I don't want to call it salvation, because law of attraction can't get you saved.
Yeah.
And neither can the prosperity gospel in that sense either, unless it's Christ.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. That was it. That was all.
I don't quite disagree, but it's all good. Yeah. So that's what it is. That's the law of attraction.
Yeah.
And
get out of it. That's what I'm going to say to you.
And I just wanted to touch on this, because this was originally I thought it would be kind of cool, the Doctrines of Demons series, to kind of tie it around a book. And because the Christ Letters was a book, this was actually really well known, or I think got resurgence in the kind of late
It was 90s,
2000s.
Yeah. Okay, early 2000s.
Yeah, because so there's this book that came out that was called The Secret. And so kind of bringing it more to this, the thing, if you see anyone talking about, because, we're talking about all these books or these, this book from 1906 or, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill that was written in the 30s. This was really repopularized by this woman, it was Rhonda something. Rhonda, what is it? It refers to her only, Rhonda Byrne. It just keeps calling her like Rhonda. In 2006, and she released a movie and a book called The Secret. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of people took that teaching and made it into Christianity, because The Secret makes it updated.
Right.
They bring it softens the blow. And I just want to kind of go into this even more with the law of attraction, specifically about this woman, Rhonda Byrne. And on top of it, this is a channeled book that she talks about.
She channeled it, huh?
She channeled it.
Oh,
and
awesome.
it was called by this other spirit by the name of Abraham Hicks. So I just wanted to throw this back in, is that in the resurgence of this, even though we're talking about it has this weird origin of like this, there's this resurgence still, this new resurgence based on this book called The Secret, that is the law of attraction. And she specifically talks about being a follower and of this spirit called Abraham, the spirit of Abraham. It's not the spirit of Abraham of the Bible.
No.
It's this guy named Abraham Hicks. So, like, literally everything about this, that the old of it is started in occultic stuff. The new version of it has foundational in channeled spirits, demons.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Don't read The Secret. Don't practice the law of attraction. And don't go to Joel Osteen's church.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's good.
Good summary?
Yeah.
For real, no cap.
No cap.
That's right. Well, dude, that's good. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's a little confusing, but the basics of what they do is easy to understand. Like, you attract what you want or whatever. But when you start to pop the hood on that whole thing, and you start to look at what made it to what it is, it gets a little convoluted and it becomes a spiritual casserole, as I like to say. But man, all right, that's another one in the books.
Sweet.
We will continue this series as we move on. And until next time, see you soon.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the All Out War podcast today. If you had a blast, then we'd love to have you back for another episode. So please subscribe and leave a review. We love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Instagram at All Out War Podcast or on Twitter at AOWcast. These episodes are also available on YouTube, unless they contain a little too much truth. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.